Actually get into the review of the Gamdias E6 Elite combo, just for the budget gamers. Alright, so I've used the Gamdias Hermes E6 Elite 2-in-1 gaming combo. What a mouthful, for a while now, right? And I do have some thoughts. Let's be honest, I do have some thoughts. I love the keyboard, a lot of it, and dislike some of it. But then the mouse is where it kind of falls off to me. It's not all bad though, but I do want to give you guys all the pros and cons of everything, so you know exactly what you're gonna buy if you end up buying this budget gaming combo. It is very affordable, 700 Rand, which is, if you're watching internationally or in the US or something, it's about, I don't know exactly how much. I'll put it up on the screen in euro and in dollars, so all of you guys know exactly, or at least approximately, how much this actually costs, right? Now, when it comes to the packaging itself, before we get into any of the other stuff, when it comes to the packaging, it is fairly simple. You get a box. That's it. You get the box. Inside of the box is just the keyboard and the mouse. There's no like extra cables. There's no like extra hot swappable key things, whatever the hell you call them. And that's fine. At this price point, I really want Gamdias to be just pumping all the performance that they can into this combo, because that's what you're gonna get when you're buying a budget gaming combo like this, right? Like, you don't care about how fancy the box looks or how fancy the inside is. You want something that functionally works and would work for a while. And to get that at 700 Rand for a keyboard and a mouse, you're gonna have to cut some corners, let's be real. Okay, so let's start with the mouse, because this is probably the one that I have the most concerns about, but don't let it discourage you from buying this gaming combo, because the keyboard might well just make up by a lot. And the problems that I have with this mouse, it is kind of niche, but I'll let you guys know, and you'll know in a second exactly what I'm talking about. So this mouse has, for starters, a braided cable, and it's about 1.5 meters long, so it's not extremely long, but it's long enough if your PC is on the ground or maybe on the table next to you or something like that. Then it has this very cool matte finish. Now, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but it actually looks fantastic. With the design itself, I have to say Gamdias, they really outdid themselves. It has this kind of matte finish on the top, and then the normal, like, I don't know, rubbery type texture on the side, but it's actually plastic, which is fine. It doesn't feel too crazy in your hand. It doesn't feel awkward or anything like that. Then one of the kind of caveats of this mouse is it is right-sided ergonomically, right? So it is made for people that is right-handed. Left-sided people or left-handed people, it's gonna feel kind of awkward in your hand, but that's the thing, it kind of feels awkward in my hand as well. Now, I don't know if it's because I have huge ass hands, but it might just be that, right? What I do like, however, is it is kind of weighted, so it doesn't feel like a very lightweight mouse that kind of just flies around whenever you touch it. I have played with mice that is like that. I don't like it personally. I like a weight in my hand, something that I can feel pushing around, because I'm a precision aimer when it comes to FPS games. Now, when it comes to FPS games, this is where the mouse really falls off, in my opinion. All mice have a specific polling rate. Now, the polling rate is essentially the amount of time that the laser or the sensor refreshes every single second, much like a refresh rate of your PC, of your monitor, right? Now, normally for like FPS or fast-paced gaming, you want a polling rate as close to 1000 Hertz as you possibly can get. This mouse, unfortunately, drops off at about 125. That's bad. That's really bad. So when it comes to FPS games, very fast-paced games where you have to move around a lot, have you really noticed that when you're using a very cheap mouse, like an office mouse or something like that, if you move around too fast, it's almost like the mouse doesn't really register what you're doing. Like, it just kind of does its own thing, kind of flicks in the air or just stops working or anything. Yeah, that's it. That's when the polling rate usually matters the most. But usually that is actually ironically fine, because apart from very fast-paced FPS games, this isn't going to make a big difference. If you're playing a game like an open-world RPG, let's say Crimson Desert or The Witcher or whatever the case may be, you're not going to need that. You're not going to need a massive polling rate to be able to play games like that. If you're playing The Sims, you're not going to need that. So it is like kind of a yin-yang situation, right? Like it's good, but it's bad at the same time. Now for the mouse itself, it has 6 buttons on it. Obviously your left and your right. It has the middle mouse button, 2 buttons on the side, and then the DPI button in the middle. For the DPIs, it actually starts off at 1200 DPI, which is a little bit more than what I'm used to. I'm used to playing on 800 DPI because, yet again, I'm a fast-paced gamer, so I like kind of working with that and adjusting my DPI in games itself, right? But this one starts at 1200, then you have 1800, 2400, and 3200 DPI, which is much faster than I think I would ever use, to be honest. I have never really seen a point in too many DPI settings. It doesn't make a real difference to me, but I guess it's, you know, each to their own, right? Like everybody kind of prefers something very specific. Then for the lifespan of this specific unit, it is rated at 10 million clicks. It sounds a lot, but it is quite standard when it comes to gaming mouse and keyboard combos, or anything actually for that matter. Usually it is around 10 million clicks. So think about it as working for as long as any other normal gaming mouse and keyboard would work. And that is essentially it. When it comes to this mouse, it doesn't really do anything special, doesn't feel any special, it just works, and I feel like that's kind of what it was made to do, to be honest. Like if you're just browsing around playing casual games, this will be perfect for you. If you're right-handed, of course, and you don't have huge ass hands, it'll be perfect. But if you are a fast-paced gamer, you play Call of Duty, you play Counter-Strike, anything like that, Valorant, you know, Overwatch, whatever the case may be, if it's very fast-paced, you might struggle just a little bit when using this mouse. I used it in Counter-Strike itself. I was playing a casual game mode, and I could feel the difference. Like I usually use a Razer DeathAdder Elite, and obviously that is a pretty good gaming mouse, but compared to that, it feels really bad. It feels like I actually have a negative impact on my gameplay. I'm even worse than I usually am, right? But anything else, it's fine. It works exactly as intended. It feels good. It feels kind of premium, actually, to be honest. You can't go wrong with it any way other than playing FPS games. Now let's get into the keyboard, because I feel like this is where things pick up quite fast. Now when it comes to the keyboard, this is where things change quite a bit. Now the keyboard, I feel like, is where Gamdias decided, you know what, we're gonna put everything we can into this keyboard, because this is the thing that's gonna probably matter the most in the long term. And they did a good job. They did a really good job, right? This is a 104 key keyboard, which means it is full size. It has the numpad and everything. It felt weird to me the first time I played with it, because I've been using a very small, I can actually show you guys, keyboard for probably 2 years now, right? Like I've been using this thing for a while, and it felt weird. It's huge compared to my other keyboards, but it feels good. It actually feels good to type. It is soft enough so that it doesn't really bother you, and it still feels tactile enough to be, I don't know, comfortable or satisfying at least, right? But let's get into the actual specifications of this Hermes E6 Elite keyboard. Gamdias doesn't really say what keys these are, but some listings on the internet does suggest that this is brown switches, which means it's not going to be as loud as the blue switch mechanical keyboards, but it's not going to be as soft as some of the like red switches or whatever the case may be. I'm not really sure when it comes to the actual switches itself. I kind of sometimes struggle, but I know brown switches are kind of my sweet spot at least, right? Like it's tactile enough to be satisfying, but not loud enough to be distracting. And then to state the obvious, this keyboard is a mechanical keyboard. Huge upgrade from the normal membrane keyboards, and I feel like this is where the big kahunas of this package is. It feels very sturdy, and it's quite heavy actually, coming in at 800, I think, grams, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 891 grams, which is, I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot. The thing is heavy, but it's very, very good, because when you're playing a game, you're kind of, or you're typing or whatever the case may be, the keyboard doesn't really just flow around or kind of feels like it's gonna move, or maybe if you pick it up it's not gonna feel like it's bending or anything. Like this thing is solid as heck. Now you do have some LEDs, but there is a little bit of a caveat when it comes to that. Normal medium to high-end mechanical keyboards usually have individual LEDs that you can change to any color on the spectrum. This one, however, every row has its own set color, so you can't change that. But what you can do is you can change the modes of the color, right? It's like almost like a few default settings. The problem is, Gamdias didn't leave me a user manual. So I had to figure it out, but luckily it's not that hard. It's kind of on the keyboard itself. The only thing you need to do is press FN and F12 and it'll cycle between all the different, I think it's like 12 modes of lighting on this keyboard. But that doesn't really make that big of a difference. I mean, this keyboard isn't this keyboard because of the lighting. It still looks pretty cool. I just like to keep everything on, so either way it's gonna work fine for me. But this keyboard, it feels good. I played a game or two with it, and the buttons, it feels good to press. It, like I said, it's soft, it's tactile. This keyboard is what I want in a mechanical keyboard. And the crazy thing is that this is considered a very, very budget option, which is insane. Now, obviously, like I said a little bit before, the mouse is kind of where it falls off a little bit, whereas this keyboard is kind of where everything was put onto this package, right? Like, you can do a lot with this keyboard, but you can't do a lot with the mouse itself. Now, given for who is this bundle? Obviously, it's going to be for budget gamers, obviously. But at the same time, it is for people who want something more. Maybe you're using like a default office keyboard and mouse, right? It's going to feel like a default office keyboard and mouse, but at 700 Rand, which is not a lot in the world of mouse and keyboard combos, you can have actually a massive upgrade. Even the mouse itself, if you're playing normal games, you're going to be fine with it. Unless you are like a high-stakes FPS player that actually wants every single little bit of performance, you're probably going to want to get something a little bit better. But if you're fine with just casual playing and casual playing normal games that's not FPS, fast-paced, crazy games, you'll be fine. Whereas with this keyboard, even if you want to play games that is a little bit more fast-paced or a little bit more demanding, you can say, the keyboard will work fine. And it'll work fine for a long time, because this thing is rated at 50 million presses, or 50 million keystrokes, actually I should say. It also has full N key rollover, which means you can press multiple keys at the same time and it should theoretically just work fine. Then the cherry on top is this keyboard supposedly has hot swappable keys, which means you can actually take out some of the keys and replace the keys with other ones that you like. Let's say, for example, you like the tactileness of the blue switches, you can take out the brown switches and replace it with blue switches. Or the other way around, if you like the feel and the sound of like the red switches more, you can take out this switch and give it a red switch instead. And that is what I love about this keyboard. One thing that I would have liked to see a little bit more in this whole package is actually the tools that you can use to, let's say, for example, switch out the actual keys. Like, you usually get one of those weird console things that you can pull out the keys itself. You don't get that with this package, or at least not my version of it. So you might need to get one of those from a third-party retailer or something like that, which is not great, but I don't think you're going to be replacing these keycaps anyway anytime soon. Of course, needless to say, not this keyboard or the mouse is wireless. Both are wired and both have about a 1.5 meter long cable, but what else did you expect? For 700 Rand, it is actually a steal to get this combo. Am I satisfied with everything? No, of course not. It's a 700 Rand combo. I would prefer to get a little bit of a better mouse, but given what I got for this price point, I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, this is definitely worth it. If you're just looking into getting into gaming, or you're on a tight budget and you need something that's gonna last quite a long time. Now, with that being said though, let's get into the best part of this video. The giveaway for you guys from Evetech. Alright, so if you would like a chance to get this gaming combo for yourself, the only thing you need to do is 1. Subscribe to the channel, 2. Comment down below evetech.co.za, and 3. Send me an email letting me know exactly what kind of gaming gear do you currently have and what do you still need. One of you guys will be winning that combo, and I want to say thanks to Evetech.co.za for making all of this possible and helping out the gaming community. You guys are actual legends.